Seahawks, Panthers. All right, Panthers, we say that all the time. Just let us love you. Early on, 3-3. And then Chuba Hubbard coughs it up. A great play by DeMarcus Lawrence. You see this, Willie? Watch this. Boom!
The punch out. Everybody's
Number
doing it.
0. That is his 3rd forced fumble of the season. DeMarcus Lawrence has been great this year. Great. Assuming Seahawks drive, one of my favorites, Zach Charbonnet, a regular in the Angry Run segment, had a big day. Yes, she has 10 touchdowns this year at 100 yards. It's such a good running game for Seattle. 2-headed by far. Bryce, let us love you. That's Julian Love. He picks it up. I shouldn't be groaning. It's a great play by Julian Love. That's Bryce Young's 10th interception. This Panthers fan was doing, like,
don't do
it. He goes from the offense to the defense. He got a lot of love from the broadcast, too. Sam Darnold. A.J. Barner's huge. I didn't think they want to tackle him. Barner has 6 touchdowns this season, most by a Seahawks tight end since Jimmy Graham 8 years ago. 4th quarter. The Panthers down 2 shots. Come on, Bryce. Just make it a game at least. And he will. He's going to run that sucker in. He's nifty. Scampers in there. It's only his 2nd rushing touchdown this season. Bryce Young only threw for 54 yards in this game. Next Seahawks possession. JSN. This was a massive play. 3rd and 21. He's get his face mask grabbed and his eye poked. This was a huge deal because it gave them the first down. It allowed them to move. The Panthers had some momentum, and it just got completely wiped out. And then you got Dave Canales down 10 on a 4th and 17. We check it down to Tetro McMillan, and that's just nothing.
Nothing.
That's it. Panthers, we want to love you, and we're trying, but you and the Bucks in the NFC South, good God. I can't, Tampa right now, I can't even deal with them. But they'll play. You're going to see it next week, and it is a de facto title game, although I'm ready to have a conversation about whether the Saints should get that playoff spot. 27-10, a 17-point drubbing from the Seahawks. Afterwards, Jamie, what happened? Go ahead, Jamie. Get in there.
We're going to have a conversation about the NFC South. I see what you did there about the Saints, but we can't talk about them right now. We have to talk about the NFC West and the fact that it's now Seattle at San Francisco. The 49ers get to host next weekend, and the winner of that game gets the #1 overall seed. This game had stakes yesterday between the Seahawks and the Panthers. Manti, you look at what Seattle was able to do. In your mind, knowing what happens next weekend, Manti, what stood out to you with the Seahawks team?
Well, what stands out to me about the Seattle Seahawks is, #1, I know their defense is one of the best in the game. The problem is Sam Darnold is turning the ball over at an alarming rate the past few weeks. He had 2 turnovers yesterday, an interception and a fumble, and he had 2 turnovers the week before. And I said it when we talked about the 49ers, is when you think about this offense, the San Francisco 49ers offense, if you give them the ball, they're not going to give it back. And if you give it to them like this in turnover fashion, usually things don't, it doesn't look good for your team. So that's the thing that concerns me a little bit, Jamie and Willie, is I'm looking at a Seattle Seahawks team that has all the pieces to make a really good push and a really positive push in the playoffs. But it's all predicated on that man and his ability to protect the football. And if he can't protect the football against teams that he's going to face in the playoffs, it's not going to last long for the Seattle Seahawks, which I hope for the Seattle Seahawks it does. So that's what I take from it, Willie.
Yeah, as a former offensive lineman, there's only 2 things that turn you on, Kyle. And that's a good stake in a run game.
Hey,
Seattle has a good run game. They have 2 starting running backs, and Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. And what I love about their run game, it travels. You understand what happened to the Rams? A couple weeks ago, the Rams went over to Carolina. They lost. Seattle said, not happening to us. They ran the ball. Back-to-back weeks, they've been able to rush for over 100 yards, and their identity is consistent. Run the ball, play gritty defense, and they're owning it. This is what you need this time of year, especially if you plan to make a deep run in January, because you know one thing, that you're able to run the ball, you can control the clock, and able to play defense, you give the offense more chops after apple. So I'm happy with the Seahawks and what they're able to do. And understand, you don't want to see a bad weather football team this time of year, because they're tough, they're gritty, they know who they are, and they show up on tape. So congratulations to the Seahawks. They're rolling.
They are. And I come back to Sam Darnold because I think Sam Darnold is one of 2 or 3 of the most pivotal players in the league right now in the terms of we don't really know which way it's going to go, but they determine so much. If they're great, we can win the Super Bowl. If they're not, it could be over like that. I look at him. I look at C.J. Stroud with that defense. If Stroud plays well, they could go all the way. Here's a fact. There are a very small group of quarterbacks who have had back-to-back 13-win seasons, all right? Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Sam Darnold. That is the entire list. 13 in a row back-to-back. Sam Darnold's sitting there with Brady and Favre and Mate. It's an incredible group. But where are we with Sam Darnold? I'll tell you where we are. So anybody who is fearful that last year Sam Darnold will show up again, let me just set the stage. Pay close attention to this, all right? Last year, he goes into Week 18 with this incredible record, last game of the regular season, against a divisional opponent, Detroit. They put up 9 points. They lose. Sam Darnold does not look good. They lose in the wild card round. This year, he goes into Week 18 with this crazy record against a divisional opponent at San Francisco next week, and then maybe to the wild card round. I'm not worried about Sam Darnold against the Panthers. I'm not worried about him. I look at that one, and I get worried because I remember that last year, and I remember that in other years. Sam Darnold at San Francisco, who's won 6 in a row and just manages to win every. Do you trust him in that game? If he goes in there and turns the ball over 3 times and they lose, it's, oh, my God, we just gave up the one, and I feel like we're going to lose in the wild card round again. Sam Darnold is Mr. Pivotal. Play well, Seahawks go to the Super Bowl. Chuck it around a few times, one and done. I'm so interested in him because I like him. I'm impressed by him, but I think I speak collectively. There's not a great amount of trust in him yet in the big spots because you got to earn it.
Kyle, to remind everyone further about what happened last year with that game, in particular Week 18, the Lions and the Vikings killed each other in Week 18. That was an emotional hangover game to boot. That thing lasted into January for both teams. Even though the Lions earned that #1 overall seed for the NFC, the Commanders came in and beat them. They are this young upstart team, even though the Lions had the break. So this thing has the makings to dismantle, perhaps emotionally. This is what implies that the season is so long. So with that in mind, that recency bias with Week 18, going for the #1 overall seed, Kyle, ask you, you look at these two logos, who has the emotional fortitude, the talent, the physicality to not only win this weekend, but not have it affect them into January?
The Niners just have so much been there. They've just done so many things. Half these guys have been to the Super Bowl. Shanahan's been there 1,000 times. They're at home 6 in a row. They sat Kittle last night, who I think maybe let him play in the last week. So, you know, Seattle is probably better than them this year. They do a lot of things better than the Niners, just objectively. I just don't have the trust yet in Seattle. And most of that is Sam Darnold. Most of that is Mike McDonald. It's like there's the better team versus the more familiar team, and that's why we play the games. This is a fantastic game. I really am kind of emotionally rooting for Seattle because it'd be nice for them to get over the hump. But the Niners, man, they're like the varsity. You know, they've been around. They got decals on their helmets. They made a million plays. They got scars. You know, there's so much been there for them that's going to be tough to beat them.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know the Bears seem like they're ahead of schedule, but they seem like they're destined. They seem like a team of destiny right now, especially the way Clayton played and the way this Bears team has been able to perform. I think if there's one team that's kind of earned my respect, especially being able to go on the road and put up a show, you have to feel like the Bears are destined for something special in the playoffs, man. Especially because Caleb being in his second year, Ben Johnson has his team playing ahead of schedule. And listen, this defense, they have to be better. One thing they did really well yesterday, they never gave up. They stayed in it, especially after getting scored on. So if there's one team that's kind of earned my respect, I would say the Bears.
Well, it's so funny that KB brought up that decal thing. For those of you who don't understand what he's saying, it's like in college, the big dogs and the ones that were the best on the team had the most decals on their helmet. And when I look at the San Francisco 49ers team, the guys who have the most decals are playing the best. You talk about Brock Purdy, you talk about Christian McCaffrey, and there is a chance that when they do make this playoff push, that is the San Francisco 49ers, that they could have the big dog who has the most decals on the defensive side come back, and Fred Warner. It was good to see him last night on the broadcast, and to see him in the middle of that defense, I know will shore up a lot of the stuff that youth has going on or doesn't have going on for the San Francisco 49ers. To answer the question, Jamie, I look at the 49ers, and I can't help but say, man, dang. These guys been there, they've done that, and it looks like they're doing it again.
Sam Darnold's probably like, no, Fred Warner, you can take another week, please. Ian Rappaport, get in here.